Welcome into the KSR Football Podcast presented by Friends of Cole, friendsofcolekentucky.org. Cole's been an economic engine for the Commonwealth in the past, and it will be in the future. It's resilient and reliable. And what's the last one, Drew?
Affordable, Nick.
Yeah, you got it right. See, all that practice, it pays off. Shout out to Friends of Cole, fueling the KSR Football Podcast. That's Drew Franklin. I'm Nick Roush, joined by Van Hiles and Adam Luckett here on a snowy, blustery day in Lexington, Kentucky. And I can just see the twinkle in Van's eye. He wishes he was in the snow right now making snow angels. I know you're heartbroken that you're missing out on all this, Van.
No. I've lived in Chicago 17 years. I don't miss not a day of snow. Don't miss 15-foot snow drift. Don't miss snow blowing the driveway. None of that.
Did you have the big the snow shovelers that like shoot it out? Did you have one of those?
Yeah. I had to. My driveway was huge and it was uphill. I bought one of those first day I moved in my house.
I remember visiting. It was the year that Kentucky beat UCLA 100-0 or whatever, and so I guess it'd be 2014. And I remember somebody up there saying, "You can tell the difference. You can tell you're not from Chicago because you've got a short coat." It's like if you live in Chicago, you got one of the long ones.
Yeah, when you're walking down Michigan Avenue and walking between those buildings, it feels good when the building is blocking that wind. When you have to cross that street, man, like a whole new world.
Probably felt like how Florida felt on Saturday night.
Yeah.
DJ Lagway walked around the corner and got rocked.
That defense was cold, and the good kind of cold.
Ice cold. Adam Luckett predicted to win. I think we all felt pretty good about it. Drew, you called it in the preseason. I don't think anybody expected an ass whooping of this proportions. Aiden LaRosse, all he had to do was kick the ball off. 0 times he got on the field to punt the football. Absolute dominant performance. Kentucky's biggest win since the 50s over the Gators. And frankly, they left at least 10 points off the board. Right before half, had the fumble and the QB draw, and then got the ball back and threw an interception. Could have been 48-7. It was an absolute dominant performance. A lot of fun. We're going to talk about it all today. Lucky, what was your favorite part of the game?
Florida, third quarter, gets the ball down 31-7. Florida then goes 14 plays, 31 yards, punt. That is not a Mark Stoops football game. I don't know what is. Like, everyone wants to talk about Cutter and the offense, all of that. When I think Mark Stoops watched that tape, he put his feet on the desk when that drive started. 14 plays, 31 yards. Florida milks, 7 minutes off the game clock. The third quarter was done at that point. That's Mark Stoops. That's Kentucky football right there.
That third quarter was 2 possessions. I mean, yep, Kentucky went on an 8-minute drive, and it wasn't like when I think of Mark Stoops drives, I think of the Vandy game in 2018 when the wind was blowing and they couldn't throw it, and they just turned it around and gave it to Benny Snell a dozen times. It wasn't like that. There was a third and long that Cutter converted to Fred Ferrier. I think he said they called 5 pass plays in the first 6 snaps, and then they handed the ball off once and got a chunk, and then it was like, oh, well, let's just keep doing this. And they just ran it down their throat. That third quarter, I was personally happy. It's like I looked up and I'm like, wait, we just started and it's already, the third quarter is almost already over. I think, Drew, was that when you went down to the concourse?
I did. I went to be amongst the people there for a little bit in that exciting quarter. It got to the end, especially like with Dowdell's long run. I know it was long over at that point, but I mean, they were just toying with Florida. You got to assume Florida had checked out, but still for Kentucky to just be running downhill like that, playing with a little bit of pace. We had 4 scoring drives that were like 3 to 4 minutes. When has Mark Stoops ever scored in 3 minutes on a drive? Had 4 of those. Just looked like a completely different football team across the board.
And then when they wanted to throw it in lower gear and then just emasculate Florida, did whatever they wanted. I mean, that was Oh, just chef's kiss.
I felt good about this game forever. Like when I said it in the spring, I genuinely thought they would win. My reasoning was Billy Napier will be gone. They will be disappointed. They will be checked out, which is exactly what happened. But never, ever, ever did that dream have a 38-7 finish in it. I thought it would still be a tight game until the end, and Kentucky would just pull it off, finally getting the ball to bounce their way. Never in a million years did I have a blowout that we got to see like we did on Saturday.
I mean, Van, people were leaving in the fourth quarter, which we've seen at games before, but they were leaving because Bo Allen was in and the game was over. Like, that was insane.
Yeah, that was impressive. I would say that I thought about this a lot this weekend about our defense and their points per game. And I know it's probably 28 plus points per game. It shouldn't be 28 plus points a game because the offense is giving probably 20-some points almost a game, and that's affecting the defense. This defense has thrown really shutouts these last 3 out of 4 games. And the way they're playing, especially when we got injuries early in this game to our linebacker and our safety, to have those young kids come in and hold the fort. I don't care what anybody says, that this Florida team is talented. They took Georgia last week to the brink, or 2 weeks ago to the brink. They are a talented team. So for us to be probably deficient in talent-wise in almost every position, come out and dominate them, man, there's a lot.
Yeah, defensively, that was the worst game of the year. When you look at just who they've played, just numbers-wise, it was their worst game of the season. They've had some bad offensive games, and typically it was you stop the run and then Lagway throws picks, and that was kind of how Kentucky got them defensively. But yeah, again, like I know some people want to, poke at the wins, but at the end of the day, like Auburn and Florida had 2 of their worst offensive performances of the season. There's something of value there when you're able to do that to someone.
Well, and you mentioned it too, Van, to do it with Alex Afari and Jordan Lovett going out on the first third down of the game. Lagway, he's a big SOB, man. He lowers his shoulder, and both of those guys go out. Lovett has, I think it was 41 career starts. You guys played a lot of football.
Yes, he's played a lot of football.
And then Alex Afari, he'd probably been your most consistent defensive player this year, probably. And they go out like that. And credit to Kentucky, credit to Cam Dooley, to Grant Godfrey. And then on the defensive line, you had Jaden Williams step up, had a lot of underclassmen. Lorenzo Cowan came in for Sam Green, who also got injured. And I believe it was his second straight week. No, he didn't force the fumble the week prior. But he forces a fumble. Like, a real credit to those guys who maybe weren't expecting their number to be called, but did answer the bell. That's much easier said than done. I mean, you can say next man up all you want, but it's not easy to just, okay, now go play 35 snaps.
Yeah, especially that early. It's something to being a backup before, and Cedric Works play well. It's something to get to see the game play out, and now you kind of get a feel of how the player that you're competing against is going to play. But the go in after the first series, that's like starting. Afari went out the first play, Lovett a couple plays later, and for you to be thrust in a situation where you don't get a feel of the game from the sideline, it's just like you warmed up and started, and those guys played really, really well. Godfrey had some issues early on, but after that, man, he played solid.
Florida had 247 yards, 3.6 yards per play. And I know Luckett mentioned that one drive, but some of the other drives, interception, punt. They had the touchdown off the muff punt, fumble, punt, interception, punt, downs. I mean, and then even late in the game when Florida has nothing to lose and they've got their backup quarterback in, Kentucky still didn't give up any scores. I mean, that was an outstanding defense performance. They're going to need those guys to step up even more because Sam Green and Lovett are both out for the year. Mark Stoops shared today. Afari will probably miss this week. And and Tavian Gadsden might be able to return against Tennessee Tech. DJ Waller, I think he was on the fence, and they were like, well, we can save a red shirt if we don't play him this week. But really sucks for Lovett in particular because, like, it's going to be senior day,
Yeah.
And I don't think he has a bunch of COVID years of eligibility built up to do his whole thing. I did see Van's eyes perked up when I mentioned that Waller could use a red shirt this year.
Yeah, that's crazy. What year is he?
He's a true junior.
Yeah. So he played as he was on special teams in Michigan. He played in every game that year, really. I think except for one or two.
So he technically has, if you register him, he has 2 years left.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that is huge. That's one less corner you have to recruit. That's a big deal, man. Especially when you got Grayson and Addison sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But moving forward, the secondary, you're probably, when you want to do the portal math on who you got to get, if you bring all those guys back at corner, that's looking pretty good. Now, safety is a different story. Stoops mentioned with Lovett out, Cam Dooley has played in pretty much every game, and they've got a lot of confidence in him. But, you can't just play two safeties in a full football game. And so, Martellus Carter and Dylan Williams are true freshmen that they – that I got a feeling, Luckett, they'll do that thing where maybe one will play one game and another will play another so they can make sure they keep their red shirts. But he also told you, too, that Quaysheed Scott, like he can
play safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ty Bryant and Cam Dooley better be ready to not leave the field. That's what I heard today.
Is Dunn still available or he injured?
Yeah, he's playing. He's they're kind of playing Quaysheed on standard downs, and then when they get in the third and obvious passing down, Dunn is coming in as kind of their cover nickel. But yeah.
Okay.
But he's
was that
Quay? I think if push came to shove, Scott is going to be back there. Like if I had to,
put Dunn at nickel. Yeah, that makes sense.
Was that Scott who looked like the fastest human being in the history of football? That dude hit the Jets like flash at the Braves games on that was it interception, right? Wasn't that him?
Yeah, he can fly.
God,
he can fly.
Yeah, when you get a pick, dude, the adrenaline jumps. Trust me. When you get a pick in open space, you probably run the fastest you've ever ran in your life.
Yeah, if Saunders gets a little bit better block on Lagway, he's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, my thought was, all right, we've tried all these guys at punt returner. Can Quaysheed Scott catch a punt? Oh my God! Like that was.
He was on the kick return list early in the year. It was kind of Law and then someone else and then him. I think it was just Law and him at first, but we never saw that there. I think you saw why he was under consideration.
Yeah. Man, he had some jets.
That you know how like I've heard people say, man, it would be so cool to know what it feels like to feel how to dunk. I've done it before, kind of cool. Not going to be able to do it again. Would be so much cooler to be that fast. I mean, I would love to experience what it's like to be that fast. Van, is it cool to be fast? Do you remember what it was like to be fast?
I'm not that fast, dude. Not there's levels of fast. I'm not 4.3, 4.2 fast. I can't even. You have to get that 20-mile-an-hour gust behind me to be able to run that. That's dude. I saw Kill Sanford run. I know he ran 4.3, and dude, it's a different kind of speed.
And it also shows you why South Carolina was making a strong push late in the recruiting game to try to get Quaysheed Scott. And he is – I think that stepping back from the game for a minute, you look at things big picture, you've seen growth and development across the board on this team. And I know there's going to be some people out there who are frustrated that, why couldn't we see some of this sooner? Well, part of it is because you were having to play some young guys, right? But if you just take care of business and win the game against Texas where you outplayed them, don't give up a couple stupid punt returns, then the season does look like a potentially great bounce back year. Now, ifs and buts, candy and nuts, I know all of that. But I think that is my biggest of all the criticisms we had for Mark Stoops. I think roster management was a big one, and I think development was the other big one. They looked like a poorly coached team a year ago, hell, even 2 years ago at times. There's this looks like a team where players are picking up what the coaches are putting down, and it's creating a much, much better product on the field.
There's no doubt they're playing for Mark Stoops, and they're one big cohesive locker room right now, as opposed to last year where that was not the case. And we wondered if Stoops could put that back together. And then we heard in the spring, Ty Bryant came on KSR with me and Luckett, said it's night and day difference behind the scenes. But you still wonder, got to see it on the field. The way, even going back to Auburn before this Florida game, the way that they played for Stoops, having not had that SEC win yet, and we haven't really had to question their work ethic all year. I think that says a lot about where he has them playing, and now we're seeing the actual talent rise and the offense get it going, and it's paying dividends. You just had to be a little patient, and it was being a lot of patient to see some results.
And that's kind of, to your point, Drew, it's one thing to hear them say it, and how many times have we heard Stoops say something similar, and I'm like, okay, I get it, Mark. You can only say it for so long. You can't just talk about it. You got to be about it. And when it matters the most, the end of the year, you gotta piece some wins together. You have some winnable games together. Credit to the Cats, man. They're going out and they're doing it, and it just feels so good to do it against Florida. I don't care that Billy Napier wasn't on that sideline, man. Like, I love beating Florida. It's the best. It's so good.
Y'all saying they did it for Stoops. I'm saying that they did it for me when we lost 130-something to 10 in a 2-year span. I love it. We went, yeah, that is great. Look, it comes down to this, is locker room player accountability. And that's the difference between this year and probably last. I'm not even in the locker room, but I can tell you right now, I know it's player accountability. You saying Ty Bryant saying these things in the preseason. Did anyone say that last preseason? Nah. But those words are not preached last preseason. There is a different level of leadership and character in these guys, and it's from the leaders. And you got to talk a mean game, but then you got to walk it. They obviously are walking it, and it's great to see that they go through they're 2-5, and they win back-to-back SEC games. There are some teams, as us fans are saying, our fans are saying, well, we just beat a downtrodden, a coachless team. We were that team. We were that team two weeks ago, and we came out and beat those teams that now we are putting an asterisk on those games, on those wins, because yes, these teams are not going to play well. We didn't do that. That says a lot about these seniors in that leadership.
The other thing that was said too that I think was important, it was also the message was coming from Cutter Boley, because a lot of what, and we did this on one of our 11 personnels in October, where it was like, well, how does Stoops win his job back? And a lot of it was on Cutter Boley, and now Cutter is saying, we heard the criticism for Stoops, we hate it, and we really want to play for that guy because he's always steady. He's about his business, the way he addresses the team. And I feel like we were also seeing more of that old Stoops over the last 2 weeks as well, that we probably haven't seen in public. The reason why these players are so fired up, and it's a big reason why he's probably going to win his job back, is because he's able to have the support not just from the locker room, but also from the rising star at quarterback who really is the future of this program.
Yeah, it makes everything look different. Drinks taste better. Food smells better. Tastes better. But, yeah, that's making a huge impact. And I think everything kind of starts with Cutter. But also, the whole goal of that offseason rebuild was to have a team that would stay in the fight, not let go of the rope. And then when the schedule opened up like we thought it would in November, that they could go and win some football games. And that's kind of what's playing out. And so they have stayed in the fight. They haven't splintered. They're still playing hard. And I think on this football team, I think they really have a nice mixture of young and ascending former high school recruits on their team who are now stepping into bigger roles. And then I think they've added a nice blend of older guys who are kind of in their prove it year in their last chance to like make a impact before they try to go to the draft. And so I think all of that is blended in to build a team makeup of guys that have stayed locked in and stay fighting. Even today, Nick, like Stoops kind of said what I would consider maybe a quiet part out loud. Basically, like, this is the best practicing group he's had at Kentucky in recent years. Basically, in the past, we tried, but, some weeks are better than others. That's why you see some up and down. But with this group, that they've stayed, like, their working mentality and how they approach each and every day has enabled them to get through a rough patch and then be a team that's ascending right now. And so how far can they go? We'll see over these last 3 games. But they've done a good job, I think, of kind of retooling this roster, and the pieces are coming together now.
Van, can you tell a difference in a good practicing team and a bad one? Can you feel that?
Yes, you can. It goes back to this. Those bye weeks, like everybody, the narrative about bye weeks, we don't play well. The first quarter is what dictates if you practice well in that bye week. It's not the end result. It's how you come out, our locker room, kick off, first series, second series. These bye weeks this year, they have played pretty well the first quarter. It's the subsequent quarters that have been horrible. Like second quarter, South Carolina. So, yes, it's obvious that not only do they practice well, because here's the thing. As a freshman, we talked about you get thrust into the lineup after first snap. If you're not attentive in practice, if you're not getting mental reps, if you're not studying your film, after 2 plays and you go in the game, you're not ready to play. And those young guys have shown that they're ready to play. So that to me tends to, if they don't practice well, they're at least studying well. They're doing something outside the field, because in practice, the ones are getting all the reps against scout team. And if your backup is playing as well and understand the game plan, that means they're practicing well.
We also may have had another galvanizing moment. Garrett gets you some money might end up being a turning point, the opening chapter of the championship DVD, because I mean, it's one of those things when you initially saw it, it was like, oh no, what? This is not only is this just a bad video, but also, Stoops, what were you doing paying this guy? This looks awful. And the more we've learned about it, Drew, the more that, well, Garrett, kind of a douchebag.
Yeah.
You're messaging a dude on Snapchat telling him he sucks at football. And Stoops, he said, Calzada apologized. We're holding him accountable. But he said, we will not tolerate trolls. And then all the guys were trolling Garrett back during the game. Like, the whole team was rallying behind Calzada. I was like, what is happening here? You turned a negative into seemingly a positive.
Garrett should have stayed at hiding. He had the public on his side until he opened his mouth on KSR last Friday. He almost sounded pride in messaging a player on Snapchat telling him he sucks. That is not something you should be doing. I had thought Calzada was the loser in this. I'm now calling it a draw. Both of them look foolish. Do not message players telling them they suck. Actually, do not message them at all. We need a barrier between the players and fans to begin with. But if you must message them, keep it positive. Don't tell them they suck. And if you must message them, something about it being on Snapchat feels extra creepy.
Yeah.
You baited a guy into responding, recorded your private conversation, and put it out to the public. That's low. Zach Calzada, you look like a fool throwing your money around. Whatever. Garrett, you're a fool for doing it.
How about just this is my day and age. Just don't be a narc. Like that. That's what we said. That's what I said back then. Just don't be a narc. No one wants to hang around with a narc.
That is everything. as a former player, I really don't have no problem with you messaging me. I'm a public figure now. My problem is if you're going to record it, record the whole interaction, not just the negative. If you would have recorded what he said, then I'd be like, okay, it's fair. But we know, I'm going to just tell you this as a former player. I'm not doing that unless it really got to a nasty level. You suck does not bring me to a level. Get your money up. There were some other, I guarantee you, there were some other things that were said that made me go, let me show you all my cash and my money and what I'm flowing with. So, yeah, I ain't got no problem with it, but come on, man.
Nick, to your original point, it is everywhere. Dari Noka said it in studio about the LSU game. It wasn't even our game. He said it to his college football audience on SEC Network. Garrett, get your money up. Like it's going to stick with Kentucky in this season.
And you know what? Get your money up. Like I would love to see Diego Pavia's senior day ruined because the Cats are busy getting their money up, right?
What if Cutter Boley told Diego Pavia to get his money up, just in his face? We're dancing on. He's the cockiest player in football. Let's out cocky him with our get your money up, Garrett.
Well, there is a confidence about this team now that after Mark Stoops' press conference today, I looked at Luckett and I was like, who is this guy? Who is this team? I can't even remember because even when things, in the big picture were better, I mean, it wasn't like this when Ray Davis was around, right? Things were very ugly at the end of that season. They were pretty ugly at the end of the 22 season. I mean, there is a confidence among this group where people say that hope is a dangerous drug. Momentum is too. And I forgot, somebody called into the postgame show and they compared this football team to like the teams that you don't want to see in March, that team that's starting to get hot, that is kind of scary. That's what Kentucky feels like right now. And they might just be a buzzsaw coming down the stretch with 3 games left to play. It starts senior day against an undefeated Tennessee Tech team. Then you go to Vandy, then you go to Louisville. And we all saw what happened to the Cards on Saturday, and just breaks your heart,
Listen, man, listen. When the Calgarythm rolls into town and you've got to play the Golden Sturdy Bears, it's just the best crowd section I heard at a Louisville game. They were 300 strong there in the stadium. It's just a hard game.
Oh, man.
The ACC had a weekend now. They had a weekend.
We discussed this on the way up, but there is a scenario where 9-4 Duke wins the ACC, but doesn't get to the college football playoff because they're ranked lower than the American champ and the James Madison Dukes. So you have to take the 5 highest conference champs, highest ranked conference champs, and Duke might be ranked lower than all of them because they have losses to UConn and Tulane and somebody else in non-con. I don't even know who their other loss was.
They lost to Illinois. Illinois blew them out
by a million. Yeah.
Jeez.
So there's a scenario where the ACC champion doesn't make it to the college football playoff.
So they only lost one conference game?
Yeah. They were 1-3 in the non-conference. Yeah. And they have a very manageable schedule. Virginia's quarterback, I think, is out this week potentially. I think they still play North Carolina. And there's another game, and they could get there. It's not crazy.
Yeah. The ACC Conference of Chaos. There was another big loss. Was it Virginia who lost to Wake?
Yeah, 16-9. Virginia, the quarterback got hurt, pretty sure.
Oh, and a good old-fashioned slobber knocker. But ACC, they're an agent of chaos. There was chaos at the end of that game. Like I said, really, really breaks your heart. And you know what? The Cards might still be favorites in that game at the end of the year, Drew. Have you ever seen Kentucky beat Louisville when they're an underdog?
Have I? I thought you'd never ask. Can I do the Heisman pose one more time? It's a Mark Stoops spot. He loves winning in that stupid arena in the last game or stadium in the last game of the year in the Governor's Cup. I remember it might have been the Lamar game or one of the ones around there where they played the Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmare video in the locker room, and he was going to give a speech, and he just walked off and let them all rap together. He gets them fired up for this game. Whatever he does, it works. And now across the way, you got your buddy Vince Marrow with his Adidas pants on backwards. You can help add to spoiling their season. Who knows? You might be playing for a bowl game. Louisville probably still the more talented team. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't watched them enough for that debate. But I know Kentucky will show up with a chip on their shoulder, and that is a spot where Mark Stoops loves to win.
You mentioned Vince. That is, you kind of forget about him. You know, like he's at Louisville now, and he's not very forward facing for them. You know, it's Jeff Brom's program. When he was at Kentucky, he did a lot of talking, right, in public, the interviews, all sorts of stuff. He kind of forgot about him. The Kentucky players will not have forgotten that when that game rolls around. But we're getting the cart a little bit before the horse. Mm-hmm. I want to get back to the game from Saturday because we got a lot more of dancing on Florida's grave. But first, I need to remind you that the KSR Football Podcast is brought to you by Brunt Workwear. Perfect day for the Brunt boots. The Omen, the Marin, they're waterproof, heavy duty, incredibly comfortable. They told me this, and I didn't believe them until I took them up on it. You really don't have to break these boots in. They're warm, they're comfortable. They can get you through your workday, whether you're out in the snow shoveling the drive, like some folks might be doing today, or just going to work. Brunt Workwear is going to take care of you. And it's not just the work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs, from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets. Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected, productive, and comfortable in any condition. And right now, our listeners are going to get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code KSR at checkout. I know, holiday shopping is right around the corner. Get you some Brunt. It's the best, most comfortable, most reliable gear in town. Go to bruntworkwear.com/KSR and make your workday a better day in Brunt Workwear. We mentioned the long sustained drives. The drive of the night for me was it's a 7-3 game. Kentucky's losing, right? They get the early pick, but they can't turn it into a touchdown. They give the momentum back to Florida after Jamori Macklin muffs the punt, and you're like, oh, what are we doing here? You got a 3rd and long coming up to start the second quarter. Cutter Boley hits Willie Rodriguez, and then the Cats put the foot on the gas pedal and just went NASCAR, full NASCAR, hitting Kendrick Lawn out, and they get back to the run game. Florida's wheels are spinning until they hit not DJ Miller, but J.J. Hester on the play action fade route. He gets a 29-yard touchdown. I've seen Kentucky go fast in 2-minute situations. I've never seen anything like that before, Van. That was the antithesis of Mark Stoops football, and it was a joy to watch.
Yeah, I said on here weeks before the Auburn game that Auburn game was the game I was worried about because Auburn plays a physical press in your face, man-to-man. And when our receivers were able to win one-on-one battles against them is when I'm like, okay, this is going to be a year. They will not face a better secondary as far as getting in your face than they faced a couple of weeks ago, last week. And it's snowballing. And I'm going to say this. I don't know if you have to pass the ball 30 times, but today, first time in the history of Kentucky Stoops era that I feel comfortable pass the ball 35 times a game. And it's not because of Cutter Boley. It's because I feel confident that group of wide receivers and tight ends can consistently get open when they need to. And that's a big thing that I haven't seen that since Wandale. And that was only one guy. We have a group of them. And that should make Cutter feel very comfortable. And it should make Bush feel comfortable.
I just can't believe that we're saying this right now. I mean, they couldn't get open at all at the beginning of the year. You got to tip your cap to LD Washington. Now they're playing some different guys. And then the other part of the equation is the scheme aspect from Bush, and then two, Cutter's got time to throw. The offensive line is holding up well in protection.
Yeah, I think you're seeing week to week development. I think from the wide receiver unit, and then also the offensive line. It's helped that group. Like they haven't been injured, like not only injured, like practice. Like these guys have been able to. They haven't missed any practice time since the spring. Like they've had this group locked in since the spring, and they've had them, and that has paid off. I asked Jalen Farmer about that last week, and he said it's made a huge, it's made a huge difference because we've just been able. I've got the same guys working next to me, and I've had it there for months, and so that has helped. And the money they spent on the offensive line they're getting return on investment on it.
I got one thing, Nick. Think about this. His whole career here, a certain guy has gotten the brunt of the stick from the fans. Burton has played his you-know-what off because we have not talked about him much this season.
Yeah. You got to tip your cap to him. I mean,
I think
y'all lost me?
There you're back now. You're frozen for a minute.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
See, they don't want Burton to be great. They don't want Burton to be great. We talked about this kid ever since he's been here.
Oh no! And then he went again. They really don't want him to say nice things about
They're
Jagger.
working against Jagger. Let him speak.
But the point Van's trying to make, though, is he dealt with a lot of injuries and movement and different guys next to him throughout his time. He added some more weight, and he's been a steady Eddie, man, an absolute steady Eddie, best year of his career. He's the guy who we thought he could be whenever Kentucky recruited him out of high school. He's become that guy.
Van's moving again. Third time's a charm. Let's hear about Jaggerberg.
It's crazy. I guess nobody wants me to talk about Mr. Burton. Look, this kid has kept his head down and improved so much. He's a Luke Fortner project. I don't know if he has a chance in NFL. I'm not a lineman. I don't know how the criteria and all that stuff. But for us this year, we always talk about the middle of the offense, the middle of the defense. Getting him and Cutter to perform well and getting David Gusta. That guy has made a difference in his offensive line because without a good center, Adam would know this offense does not go well. And that guy has stepped up big time, man. And he's not talked about enough.
No, he really has not been talked about enough.
And Coach Wolf, what he did with the whole operation, right? Fans love that.
Seriously, people want to hate, and I know that there are some questions about, okay, well, what's next after this year? And Cody Gabbard mentioned it too in the chat that Farmer's he's the only one back. And to answer your question, Cody, yes, this is going to be another portal rebuild. I know they like Abisail Muckett, but he's been injured for most of the year and hasn't been able to get any reps. And then you brought in Wibberly, so I guess the goal is for him to be the center next year. But you're still going to have to get at least 2 tackles out of the portal.
Yeah, you would have Wooden Strye would be in the mix at tackle, but yeah, you're going to have to.
You're probably going to get at least
bare
one.
Bare minimum, you would need probably 1 tackle starter, 1 guard starter would be my guess. Bare minimum.
Yeah. But we can't say too many nice things about Eric Wilford, or else the numbers will just nosedive on this. People will unsubscribe from KSR Plus. I mean, it'll.
But Van brought up a good point. Like, no one's talking about him. That's the key.
Yes.
Like, it's not even like a topic of conversation. It's just they're there, they're doing their thing. Everything you're focused on all the other things, and that's when you know an offensive line is doing its job. So if you're not talking about them, that's when you know they're playing well.
Same thing with the long snapper, Drew. Who's our long snapper?
I could have named some of the past. I can't get. I can't get the current long snapper.
Is Walker Himmelbach? Is he still here?
I think
wasn't he like our highest rated long snapper ever?
I don't know if he's still here or not. We have a long snapper and a short snapper. McLaughlin's a short snapper.
Okay.
can't remember who the longest. Even I don't know off the top of my head. And I know.
I mean that great job, Longstaffer. Right, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
How will we know he didn't punt? He didn't even step on the field.
It's a good point.
I mean, he was over there. He was over there at a concession stand giving nachos with some hot peppers.
Nick, I pulled up the depth chart for this week. McLaughlin is still long and short snapping.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
there we go.
He did play. All right, never mind.
Yeah, Heimbach Nick transferred. I think he ended up at Colorado State or something like that. But yeah,
man.
And we have David Laganga waiting in wait behind him, too long and short snap from Staten Island, New York, and that is your long snapper update.
That translates to the ganga in Spanish.
that's the long snapping pipeline. Staten Island.
Shout out LaRod King.
The Rod. I hope he's used that line. He has to have used that line.
That was an old Beisner line for our longtime KSR followers.
What else was fun from that game? Oh, yeah, Seth McGowan did the Thriller dance. That was cool.
I just thought it was interesting seeing our fans just viciously troll Florida fans. It's just a weird – I know Florida's down, but growing up with that logo, just owning Kentucky my entire life, watching Florida fans duck to get out of there because Kentucky fans are just giving it to them, that was a pretty weird dynamic that I enjoy watching.
No, I wasn't – we weren't in the stadium. We're in our press box, but I know it was just pure euphoria. We're running it up again on these guys. This is the best ever. I know it was pure euphoria. I know it was plenty of – I know it was plenty of Spurrier's not walking through that door being yelled throughout that stadium.
I did see a fight break out, and I was like, look at us. We're even beating up Florida in the stands. And then the guy next to me was like, those are actually two Kentucky fans just beating each other up. Like, well, I guess some people just can't be happy.
I just want to make sure that we can never take this for granted. I mean, 4 out of 5 against them. I don't care if we are one of 12 teams that beats Florida in a year. This is always fun. Like, it will take 30 years of victories over Florida for me to finally just be like, Spurrier, who is that guy? Like, those games will haunt me for the rest of my life, and that's what makes nights like Saturday so joyous. And we needed to get one at that stadium. But if you've never been down there to see it, oh, man. I saw my dad after the Anthony Richardson-Will Levis game. That's the happiest I've ever seen my dad, right? Like, grandkids, weddings. No. Being in the swamp to watch Kentucky beat Florida, he smiled for like 3 straight days. You couldn't tell him anything wrong. We can never, ever forget just how wonderful it feels to kick this team's ass.
I forgot. I was going to say, isn't he a Tennessee fan? But that's Drew Franklin's.
That's my dad, yeah.
Never mind.
But he also hates Florida, so he was very happy for me. And this actually helps bring us together during football season, our hatred for Florida.
They haven't seen a win in the swamp in 30 years. So
yeah.
We'll see if they can finally end that. Not this week, but I think they play next week down there.
I did something Saturday night, too, that I didn't anticipate doing this season. It was 2:30 a.m., and I had just dropped off Stephen Peak at the Yoki Buffet, and I thought, man.
Were they open? Stephen Craven, some Yoki Buffet?
No, the Yoki was not open, unfortunately, because I was pretty hungry. But I had to look, Drew. I was like, am I going to have to change my Christmas plans to go to Memphis and have a little walk on Beale Street with the Wildcats?
You thought you were going to get a light December this year on the workload.
Oh, my wife was thrilled when I told her that Kentucky might be going to a bowl game.
She was the biggest Florida fan on Saturday.
But we played the percentage chance game. It's my least favorite game, but I volunteered myself to play the percentage chance game on 11 personnel. Percentage chance that Kentucky would win out. And we put it at 15 to 20%. Well, they checked one box. All right, Van, what's the percentage chance now that Kentucky wins out?
Well,
It beats
I
Tennessee
did say this
Tech.
last week. Did I not say if we beat Auburn in Florida that we'll beat Vandy? So if we beat Vandy, that puts us at 6 wins. The way Louisville played these last few weeks, man, I'm gonna say right now we are 50.23% chance of going to a bowl game.
What about 7 wins? Could they win them all? Just win them all?
Man, that's a tough stretch, especially injuries on defense. I'm gonna put that at 44%.
I'll take 44%. Happily take it. The other part too, there is part of me that I don't want to say I'm worried, but I will be ready to go to Mr. BetMGM and just empty the account on the Cats to beat the crap out of Louisville if this team has an awesome first half against Tennessee Tech. Because that's part of why I had some apprehensions in that Florida game, is because this has been a big 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of program the last couple of years. And senior day against an FCS opponent, I don't care if they're 10-0, it's still an FCS opponent. It's easy to not have your mind right. If this is the team that has their mind right, they are most certainly a better football team than Louisville. They are playing like a much better football team than Louisville, a more complete team. Louisville's defense was awesome at the beginning of the year, but they're really struggling. Cutter Boley is a significantly better quarterback than Miller Moss, and he has multiple weapons. Moss has 1.5. So, and Isaac Brown is out. I will add, though, there is a little defensive injury apprehension that's going to get tested in that Vanderbilt game. But I want to see this team like it. We've seen over the years it come out flat. I'm hopeful that what we saw the last 2 weeks and that 10-0 record ensures that these Cats are ready to put their foot on the gas as soon as the ball is kicked off on Saturday.
Yeah, I think with Tennessee Tech, you look at them, their quarterback has about 500 rushing yards this year, and that's kind of been Kentucky's biggest weakness defensively, is kind of containing that. So interested in that. But offensively, with the way Kentucky's playing, you have to feel if they go out and score 30, they're going to be in pretty good shape. So just go offensively, just go play well. They'll be in pretty good shape. You know, you get in the Vandy game, like you're going to have to score points to win that game. Defensively, I like how they match up with Louisville, but they're probably going to have to – Brom's going to have – you got to assume, you know, you're not going to hold him to under 17, his team. Yeah. So you're going to have to score in that one. So a lot of this, to me, as we close out this season, you know, the offense is going to have to score and play well. And now when they've gone against defenses that haven't been great, we've seen that here recently. They had a lot of success against Tennessee, a lot of success against Florida, and those were games where they turned it over multiple times, and they still went and scored 5 touchdowns in a game. And we've seen them balance, both run the football and pass the ball. So if they can go out and do that and score some points, like you can definitely see the path there. Now, Cutter still needs to go play well on the road. We haven't seen that yet, other than the end, I would say, kind of garbage time against Georgia. So that we still need to see that. But we talked about how all the arrows seem like they're pointing down for so long. Now it seems like they're pointing up, and they've got a chance, I think, to really close the season strong here.
You said score multiple touchdowns in a game, and it put a smile on my face.
And multiple passing, not just rushing. These are multiple passing. Yeah,
I mean, he hits 2 back shoulders on a fade in the wheel. I think people were just they didn't know what to do with their hands in the stadium. Like, what is this sorcery?
And those third down throws to the sideline, and when you're watching the TV copy, Van, I don't think you appreciate just how difficult those throws are. But those have a long way to go, and he is hitting those guys right on time.
I'm not going to even talk about the throw because those were amazing throws. He's shown that ability. I'm going to tell you this. the route running, the speed outs that Kendrick Law is running is top level. I'm going to tell you as a cornerback, if I know a guy has burners and he can run a speed out, I will never stop it because I'm going to always turn my hips because I think he's going 9 route. And if he can run that speed out like he ran it this week 2 or 3 times, it is unstoppable unless you're playing zone. If you're playing man, that route right there, when he's in motion, the defender has to play off man because he's in motion. It is impossible to stop if Cutter makes a good throw. You can give us 10 yards every time.
Impossible to stop. Did you hear that, Drew? Impossible. Kentucky football offense, impossible to stop.
And I think when Florida was in zone, I thought Cutter did a really good job. They ran a lot of mesh routes, and he didn't. He kind of took his time, got to the open man, and he moved his eyes, got people out of position, and he hit he jammed some small window throws in there, specifically in the red zone. And so there's a lot of good. And my favorite play from Cutter all game, 3rd and 7, out the half. He just went fumble, interception. It's 3rd and 7. I'm getting my foot in the ground. I'm getting upfield, running through a tackle, getting a first down, and that started that was the TKO drive. That was my favorite play he made all game there. Because Florida, you had them dead in the water, but they weren't dead yet. If you go 3 and out there, you're probably still fine, but you're giving them life when you really shouldn't be giving them life after, you kind of ruined 2 great chances there presented to you from the defense. And they respond there, and then they get the drive going. Then he hits another 3rd and 7 to Ferrier 3 snaps later, and then the game's over after that. Then Kentucky runs it. And that was my favorite play. So I just thought you saw him bounce back from the turnovers. Just a really impressive, I thought, game from him.
Speaking of wide
receivers on the mesh routes were good too because they would sit in the window and not run through the windows. That was big for them too.
Speaking of dead, Bush Hamden is the Undertaker gif. Particularly in short yardage, after the disaster at Texas. I mean, what was Kentucky on 3rd down? I had it pulled up just a second ago here. 8 of 12 on 3rd down and 2 of 2 on 4th down before Bo Allen gets in the game. It's 4th and short, and we're not going to just run it up the middle. We're going to get creative and the little end around to Kendrick Law. I mean, the creativity there. I just love it. I love it.
He just needed to take a look at it, Nick. Give the man time. He took a look at it, and it has slowly improved. Got a little bit, even in the losses, even when the defense was giving up 56 to Tennessee, you saw a little gradual. Auburn, tough defense, maybe not as much progress there, but now, people are having a conversation of Bush going to hang around. His approval rating at the beginning of the year, I think people wanted him to be out immediately. I think some people were calling for him after a game, and now you can't help but give the man a round of applause for how they played on Saturday and how he's got it rolling. A lot of it is turning the roster around and using some shiny new toys, the young guys, but it's not just the personnel. I mean, it seems like Stoops might even be letting them have a little more fun than Stoops normally lets them have too.
Yeah, they were 4-6 on 3rd and 6 or longer. And it's not white flag time when it's 3rd and 7 or long. Nick, me and you have talked about how Stoops would talk, 3rd and 7, well, I can't do nothing about it. We just, we got to punt. I don't know what to do.
We're not built for that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not built for that. We're now it's not like they're converting 3rd and 7s with relative ease, not necessarily ease, but they're doing it consistently with Cutter. Cutter's making some throws, and they're moving the chains. First drive of the game, he finds DJ Miller on kind of a curl at the sticks on 3rd and 11 to set up a very makeable field goal there to get points on the board. So, the drives are not over when they get behind the chains. So that has helped them, I think, a ton. And that's helped them get drives going, converting these 3rd and longs. Like mentioned the field goal and then the drive, he had 2 3rd and 7 and conversions on the drive out of half. So the drives aren't over when they're getting into 3rd and long. They're being able to convert and get some things rolling on offense. And that helps a ton. If you get in 3rd and long and the drive's over, it's just a hard way to live because you're going to get into them eventually. You can't be in 3rd and short all day.
Right.
As much as you want to stay in 3rd and short all day, you can't necessarily do that. And you can't be afraid to get aggressive on early downs because you're afraid you're going to fall behind the sticks on third down. Like, you can't just be like, we can't go for a swing here because I got to get in 2nd and 5 because I need to have a 3rd and 3 or less.
Generally speaking, there are still some big picture issues that this program is facing, and there will be questions this offseason, regardless of what happens over the next 3 games. But I think what is important to note is that there for a while, things were looking very bleak. And I don't know if you can see that now, but it's the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter. We can see a path forward. And that was not always the case. It was not. Things looked very ugly, and a lot of it was a lot of it was right on the backs of Cutter Boley, and he's been outstanding, better than expected. And man, Kentucky might be going to a bowl game. They might win out. They might have a 7-win season. Who would have thunk it?
Which could lead to 8.
Yeah, this thing took it 8. Nick, what are you talking about? The ceiling's 8.
Well, I got a bone to pick with Drew, as I stated earlier. The laughing of we give 56 points up to Tennessee, where the offense gave up 14. See, that was the kind of thing that affects the defensive game points per game average. Their scoring defense suffers because the offense gave up 14 points. Like, that's just that bothers me so much, but it is what it is.
I wrote about this after the game, but the stats of the defense, you have to ignore that Tennessee game, but 3 out of 4, Texas, Auburn, Florida, the stats are insane. If you go back to the Texas game, remember they needed 2 punt returns to do anything. Florida needed the muff punt. Auburn needed the interception before the half. The defense really flirting with almost 3 shutouts against those teams around that Tennessee game. It's crazy how they flipped it around, especially after that Tennessee game, and that's what Brad White talked about. How many teams this point in the year, they start thinking about themselves. What am I doing next year? What's next? This ain't working. But after giving up 56 or 42, if we want to just put on the actual what the defense allowed, but still, the way they locked in and did what they did the last 2 weeks, they deserve to be commended. That whole team does.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. It's fun. I admittedly – there were times where I was stunned. The tempo drive, I didn't know what to do. And then we went to rapid reaction afterwards, and I forgot what it was like to be at Kroger Field when people are happy. And then I went to interviews, and I'm like, who are all these media people that are here? Like, everybody wants to talk and interview them now. Like, I was admittedly a little, what do I do with my hands? Like it had been so long. It felt so good to get that right. They needed to end that SEC home losing streak. It's done. It's gone. And now you got 3 games to go where you feel like, hey, 50-50 shot. Win one of your last 2. Take care of business against Tennessee Tech. And then go upset what could likely be top 25 teams on the road. But Louisville does play Clemson and SMU. They might be in the middle of a 3-game losing streak whenever Kentucky comes to town, which, it would really suck, man. It would be a real shame if they were just beaten up and downtrodden. So
I'd hate that.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
Hate it when that happens.
You know what I did like, though, is I was actually at an establishment watching the basketball team on Friday, and I was rocking my UK rollback gear, and somebody's like, that shirt's awesome. I said, God, Christmas is coming up. I'm gonna get my hubby one of these. And I was like, well, put in promo code KSR and you get 20% off. And they were like, what is it? And I said, KSR, you get 20% off your first purchase. And bada boom, bada bang. There was one Christmas gift checked off. So go ahead, do that. The one thing I didn't like is that there's a lot of Louisville fans that go to my local watering hole. It's more of a Louisville place. And one of them thought they would be cute and played Rocky Top on the touch tunes. Which, I mean, that's a weird way to troll, but cool, I guess. I will not be there tomorrow night. You will not find me anywhere near those heathens on Tuesday night. No. Just no. KS Bar is the place to watch the game Tuesday night. Not there.
I've never covered a Kentucky-Louisville game in football or basketball at Louisville. So last summer with the TBT, I thought, you know what? I'll put my feet in the water and just see how I'm received in Louisville. And one punch later, you know what? I'm out. I'll just watch from the couch so they can have it. I don't want to be around those bums anyway.
You know, there's body odor, line beards. You don't need all that.
The sheriff will be there.
Hey, I will give them credit for the football games. They have a carving table in their hospitality press box area. You know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We could never. No, we would never. I'm curious what the digs will be at Vandy. We found out today that's a 3:30 kickoff down at First Bank Stadium, so I'm gonna be excited to see the new digs down there. We're gonna be down there the night before, so if you want to Nashville with the KSR crew, might be feeling a little rough Saturday morning. So just something to put in your tickler file for later. Something to consider.
That city can get you sometimes.
Yeah, we need to go to the place that doesn't have $10.
Get you in a wallet. I'll tell you that.
Let's try to find. Here's a good question. Does anybody in the class know where the tech part of Tennessee is? I didn't know they had technology in Tennessee. Did anybody else?
No, not at all.
Is it like the tin cans and in the cord? Is that the tech that they're teaching at Tennessee Tech?
Where even is it? Do you know?
That was what I was going to ask.
Is that the question? Is it?
I think it's like Cookville, maybe.
It's Cookville. Cookville's the answer.
Okay. Is it really
Where's that
Cookville?
Yeah, I couldn't have produced that on my own, but that's it.
Where's that?
Wow.
Is that by Nashville?
It's like middle of the state, east of Nashville, but
East
not
of
far
Murfreesboro?
east. Yeah.
Okay. Tony Neely, a Murfreesboro native. More you know.
He's from the Muff.
Yeah. When he said that too, my jaw dropped. I was like, "What did you just say?" Tony Neely, you don't talk.
Oh wait,
dirty
Tony
like that.
said what I just said?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know everyone said that.
Yeah, but apparently so.
Okay, all
Apparently
right.
So undefeated Golden Eagles coming to town. Not your average FCS foe. Curious to see when that line will come out. We'll have you covered over on KSR.
I saw they're number 1 in all offense in the FCS and number 3 in defense. So I guess you can't play a better FCS team in the entire level of the sport.
Now, they aren't exactly in the most challenging league. I believe they just beat their first team with a winning record on Saturday. And it was like 21-16 or something like that.
Yeah.
So their real first kind of close game of the year. They'd been blowing out teams. Their margin was like 50-9 or something like that on average.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were hammering some teams, but they did play probably not the toughest schedule, but still they are. They beat Eastern Illinois 21-9, Gardner-Webb 27-21, which were conference games for them the last 2 weeks. But again, they've got a dual threat quarterback who's putting up big numbers, and we're going to dive into more of them this week. But they're probably they're not on the level I would say the Dakotas, which are typically the teams that win that, or the Montanas, but they're definitely the team that could probably make it to, I would say, the national semifinals.
Oh,
it's a good ball club. Maybe they might find some McQueese Humphrey Graces on the other sideline that they can bring in for next year. So we'll have plenty more on that. We'll talk about it later on 11 Personnel. Luckett always has his scouting report up on KSR Plus. So a busy week around KSR land. Hopefully we roll the big victories over the Gators into another big victory tomorrow night. Plenty on the Kentucky Sports Radio YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. For Van Howes, Drew Franklin, Adam Luckett, I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Crow Green.